Alright, I'm about to run my first dungeon. I'm pretty nervous. I've made a few macros. We're going to be testing those out because I plan on making a macro and a programmable mouse video later. But we're going to queue up for this and we're going to run it. And I can honestly say I'm nervous. Wow, queued right into it. So I'm hoping to get the party frames. This is something I haven't had before, because I think that will help with my mouseover macros. We're not going to watch the cutscene. So I'm just going to pop in here on occasion if I need to add a little extra commentary to the thing. Clearly we're entering the dungeon here. First of all, I want to say what I was trying to do was, in this first dungeon, I'd spent some time setting up some mouseover macros and programming them to my multi-button mouse just to, for the first time I ran this, be able to acclimate myself to the mouse itself. Now that was kind of a mistake because the mouseover macros didn't work as quickly as I needed them. They didn't respond as quickly, and the buttons weren't very familiar on the mouse to me, so it was kind of a perfect storm of not working right off the bat, and I felt very uncomfortable. So I immediately just went to straight up healing. All right, let's move on. Okay, so right here I'm just trying to figure out the party frames. So that's clearly my tank. Does it not let us cast anything right away? Well, the mouse overs aren't working, so we're just going to run it straight up. Arrow. So clearly here I'm trying to figure out my feeling between healing and doing damage. I'm hanging way far back to make sure I don't take any damage. I will say, look at the graphics and all, how beautiful that is. Just everything. The spell casting, the motion on the left, and the plants on the right. It's pretty amazing. Some stones. I like the idea that when I select my person, that it puts that icon over their head that I can follow them. Fine. So far, so good. Alright, so the macros didn't work. We're just going to run it straight up. I'm really pretty disappointed with that. I need to cure this guy. Last thing I want to do is not be able to heal the group. So what I found is you really do need to focus on healing first of all. Damage is a secondary thing. Focus on healing till you get a really good feel for the rotation. Fine. What's my MP at? Fine. Alright, so I really don't want these in my face here. Alright, so I'm trying very hard to follow the group. Stay out of trouble. And keep healing. Now the tank's grabbing lots of things and running. I'm about to get stuck. Not really sure what the fuck. Okay. So I get stuck. The tank was grabbing lots of things and pulling them. And I'm trying to catch up. And he died. So did he overpull? Did I not stay up with the group? The answer, I think, is yes to both of those. So at this point, the group wipes. And I feel terrible. So also, when we revive here, I had to figure out how to do the revive button there. Now I'm here and everybody's run off. Okay, they're running off. I'm trying to follow them. I get lost. So I apparently killed the group because I was not able to catch up with them, and he pulled a whole bunch of folks, and yeah. Okay, so then here I get lost. I don't know where. And I'm gonna save you the. Pain of watching me figure out where I'm supposed to go. So after running around lost for a couple of minutes, I finally found my way back to the beginning of the dungeon. And from there I was able to sort of figure out how to get back to where I was supposed to be with the rest of the group. In the meantime, these guys all been standing around, and they actually started pulling stuff before I got back. And they ended up asking me, "Hey, are you alive?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I kind of got lost, and I'm a super noob at first dungeon, and sort of threw myself on my sword." And to be honest, I actually expected them to kick me from the group. But as I am running back and finding my way, now that I'm following the path that I had gone on before, one of the guys was running back to meet me and lead me back through. So at that point, at least I knew I wasn't going to get kicked out of the group, and the folks were being pretty cool about it. So this is me typing, telling that I'm a super noob. And to be honest, the answer was very gracious I got from them. This is in high contrast to what would have happened in WoW. In WoW, I would have already been verbally abused and possibly kicked out of the group. Now they've started attacking stuff again. I'm, worried about not pulling stuff, and I'm worried about not getting stuck again. Here's the guy that came back to help me. So anyway, I'm just getting back on track to heal. I was able to catch the tank up, and now we're back on track. So, but yeah, in WoW, I would have already been kicked from the group and been verbally abused and whatever. And these guys were super cool. So that's one distinct difference between Final Fantasy and WoW that I've noticed, is the community is generally fairly cool people. So basically, I'm only casting a couple of spells here. When we're engaging things, I'm trying to do tab targets and do my arrow damage over time spell on them. And then I will do stone when I have a chance. But I will be selecting my folks in my party frames and just doing cures on them at this point. I only have a couple of heal spells. I have 2 heal spells. One is a single heal spell, which is cure. And I have my... I don't want to say it's not necessarily an AoE, but it's a multi-party heal spell, which is very mana expensive. And then I've got the the dispel spell in this being the first dungeon. I really only had to do the damage over time arrow, the stone when I had a chance, and cure. And beyond that, I was perfectly fine, and I never had an issue with mana. So that was a little embarrassing, getting lost, the party wiping. Macro's not working, so this is my first boss here, I think. I want to be more focused on healing. Not standing and stuff is good too. Look, a chest. Highlighting the tank and the icon over their head allows me to track the group a lot better at least the tank. I always want to stay with the tank. I don't care about the other DPS, but the tank has to live. So yeah, right now I'm just casting stones to do damage. I've got that in my rotation. A quick cure there. So once you get a feel for it, it's really not terribly difficult at all. And due to the lack of numbers of spells I have right now, clicking on the party frames and then clicking on the button, the corresponding spell is fine. And wow, I had to have such a smooth rotation of many different things that clicking on the party frames, I needed the spell to execute then, and we don't have that right now that I'm aware of. There are no add-ons. So again, just focused on healing, keeping a few arrows up that I feel comfortable casting in between healing, because he was starting to pull a lot more after, he could sense I got the feel for it. But, while he's got a lot pulled, I focused, of course, more on healing than I did on anything else. Again, the arrows are instant cast, so I would try to get out a couple of them. But casting the long cast stones, I did only when I felt like I had the comfort zone to do that. So again, with this pull, I'll drop a couple of arrows on things. I'm actually casting stone on that one. Oh, yeah. All right, now it's time to cure, right? Again, keeping the icon on the tank makes it easy to follow along. So now the mouseover macros are working. I just want to focus on healing right now. A little too... a little too gun shy at the moment to try to get too adventurous. I accidentally pulled something right here, and I almost died. As you see, he comes from my back right, doing damage. So instinctively, as I would normally do, pulled him into the tank, and then healed myself until I was safe. But it did add a little bit extra to the fight, unfortunately. But we did survive, and that's just from old instincts from healing WoW. You know, you pull something, you bring it to the tank and let him grab it. Alright, he grabbed a bunch of stuff, so I'm just watching him. Now I'm tabbing, trying to get a few arrows on some of these things while I feel like I have time before I need to cast another cure. We'll get the cutscenes another time. So being that I was new to this, I didn't want to be the one everybody was waiting on to watch cutscenes, so I just skipped them. So I believe this is the final boss. My main goal here was to keep the tank alive. I didn't really care about anything else. Now I did get an arrow on him, so I'm doing a little bit of damage. I am doing a few stones here because there was not a lot of damage going out. But you'll see, I'll basically keep arrow up and switch between curing and stoning. And a final cutscene. Again, skipping so as not to be a hindrance to the party. And it looks like it's done. I thank them for their patience. Noted that it was my first time ever, and they were nice. And said technically I did a good job, although you know, we had the one wipe, but everything else went very smoothly, so they weren't disappointed with that at all. And there it was, my first dungeon in Final Fantasy. I was nervous going in, had a little bit of messing up, but picked up and got it pretty quickly, I think, after that. And so I guess I automatically got loot. That's all good. And on subsequent dungeons that I've done, I felt much better. I needed that as part of my quest chain. So that's done. One wipe. Got lost once. Did find the rest, I believe. Not bad for a first attempt. Not excited about the mouseovers. We'll have to play with that a little bit before I'm going to be happy with that. So, all right. Well, I'm going to sign off of this adventure here, and we'll work on the macros and the rest of the stuff another time. But that was my first Final Fantasy dungeon, and it's nerve-wracking. But I did okay. All right, well, we'll see you later, I guess. Bye.